What's up, Ramblers? Your favorite CEO is back. And before we begin today's podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. And follow Assistance HQ and Offsource HQ across all platforms to stay up to date on the latest content, updates, and more. And remember, if you need a virtual assistant, visit us at offsource.tech. Now, before we begin, a word from our sponsor. All right. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Ramblings. I'm your host, Angelo Roberts, and I have with us today another absolutely wonderful guest. As you guys all know, all of the guests that we have are always absolutely wonderful. So today we have with us today Joe Rivera. How you doing today, Joe? Introduce yourself, give us the company, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Angelo, what's up, man? How are you? It's Joe Rivera. Name of the company's with Joe Rivera. So I'm a resilience coach. So what I do is I empower top earning professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs who have hit a wall of exhaustion, lack direction, or feel that they're spiraling out of control by creating simple steps to achieve ultimate fulfillment by reforging their life.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. We love that kind of work and everything like that. So how did you really kind of get into this? Give us your story on how you got into with Joe Rivera.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've been in the financial industry my whole life. I was in my 20s thinking I'm on top of the world. I was making 7 figures a year. I thought I had the world by the balls. And I got introduced in the financial industry. Little did I know that Wall Street could also be drug street if you allow it to, right? Mm-hmm. And I got introduced. Somebody came up to me one evening and said to me, "Hey, Joe, you think you're a top producer now? Take this little round pill and you're going to produce even more." And that's when I got introduced to opiates. And that's when my battle with substance abuse took off to the next level. My life went dark and became completely unmanageable. I overdosed twice. The last time I overdosed, it took 6 cans of Narcan to bring me back to life. Technically, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be off into the afterlife. But God knew that my purpose wasn't served yet, that I had a bigger purpose than that, and that my journey wasn't complete. And I ended up achieving sobriety. And throughout those years, I built up, I went from 7 figures a year, losing everything, financially, emotionally, spiritually, bankrupt. I lost everything. I didn't even know what a relationship with God was. I thought it was just asking for how our Father, Hail Mary, asking for forgiveness when necessary, and I lost it all, and then to be able to gain it back, and be able to be back in a position, not only making 7 figures, not only the materialistic stuff comes and goes, but having that, being able to be present and have that relationship that I do today with God, where today he's my father, my brother, my mother, my best friend, my everything. And when I put that spirituality first, it creates the path for everything else to fall into pursuit. And being able to get that all back and then some, God kept tugging at me and pulling at me and telling me I got a bigger purpose than that. And that's when I decided to build Reforge Academy. And let me tell you something. Wow, was he right with those nudges, man, and that intuition, because that feeling that I get from helping somebody, there's no drug, no alcohol will ever give me that euphoric feeling that I get from being able to empower somebody and help them take their life to the next level.
That's absolutely amazing. And it's a miracle that you're with us today. I'm absolutely able to have excited to be able to share that story. A lot of people are not even able to kind of even relate to that ability to have 7 figures. Give us a little bit of what it was like to be making 7 figures so kind of early on. How did you get up there? What was that journey the first time to 7 figures? What did that look like?
The first time around was young and naive. If I would have known what I know now, man, forget it. But no, listen, I was in a fast-paced world, right? Into the brokerage industry, into Wall Street in my 20s, and everything happened so fast. I worked hard, right? Work ethic and making sure to become a top producer. Repetition is the mother of skill, right? So I had to practice my skill every day. just like anybody else that's great at what they do has to do, right? You got to be able to practice and do it every day to be able to get there. And I mean, listen, it was just, it happened so quick, right? I mean, I was literally in my early 20s making, $1 million, $2 million a year. And it was just, it was an incredible journey because I was able to do anything I wanted to do at any time. But there was also a lot of learning lessons that I learned along the way to get me to build what I've been able to build now and be able to keep it and sustain that success.
Wow. Now that's very good. I'm not even there yet, and I'm still in my 20s, so I hope to be able to get to that point at some point. Now, you mentioned that you lost everything, physically, mentally, spiritually. How does one know that they hit rock bottom and that it's time to make that change? What was your euphoric moment, or what was your real pivotal moment that you said, something's got to change? I'm going to make a full conservative effort to make that happen.
So I lost my mom. My mom passed away. And once my mom passed, that's when my life went dark and got to a point where it was just unmanageability, loss of direction, life just completely spiraling out of control. And after the second overdose, my sister invites me for a self-help event. At that event, something clicked. I looked at my sister, she looked at me, we both started crying. She knew exactly what I was gonna say. And then the words came out, the words her and my family were waiting to hear for years. I said, I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm living a shell of my true life. I was tired of writing my obituary, Joe. You know what I mean? I wanted to begin creating my legacy. And after that, that's when I decided to get help and to achieve sobriety.
Wow. Now, you had said that this was introduced to you early on. And so that it's pretty obvious that there's a very large, rampant kind of issue within the finance and just large money-making areas in general. How does one navigate the challenges of making a lot more money, especially either twice over or at a young age or older age, especially if you're not really used to it? How does one try to divert their focuses and attentions from all of these everything's that shine isn't gold kind of things?
No, yeah, that's a great question, and you're right. There is a huge gap there of that success and being able to sustain it without falling into those pitfalls. And for me, when I was able to achieve sobriety, I had to build a support group. I had to build a support group and find out what, for sobriety, I had to find out how those people stayed sober and what they did to stay sober. And when I built my 7-figure pre-IPO marketing company that I have now, I had to surround myself with other multimillionaires and find out what they did to build their business to a multi-million-dollar business and how they were able to sustain it. So I'm a big believer in you are who you surround yourself with. You know what I mean? Growing up, my family had a saying. It was, dime con quién te andas y te dijo quién eres. It means, tell me who you walk with, and I'm going to tell you who you are. And it's so true. It's so true that it really does work like that. If you surround yourself with a bunch of people who are going to end up, making millions of dollars and then end up spiraling out of control and losing it, guess what? Eventually, you're going to end up spiraling out of control and losing it.
I agree. Now, as men, we kind of have a little bit of sometimes inflated ego, feel like things can't touch us. What is something that you would say for someone, say like me or upcoming entrepreneurs that are kind of in that space on the realm and feel that they might be untouchable from the people that they hang out with? Because we all come from, from New Haven. So I'm straight from like the New Haven hood. There's people don't realize it. There are hoods in Connecticut. So how does one who's grown up, maybe not necessarily around the same kind of wealth, someone who hasn't grown up, who's like me, grew up in the hood and everything like that. How does one separate themselves from maybe the people that they're currently hanging around to be able to put themselves around that new group of people?
Well, you gotta go. You gotta go with the people that you're looking to put yourself around, hang out. So if you want to find people who are going to that next level, I mean, networking events, personal development events, and now with technology and everything at the tip of our fingers, there's so much out there to be able to put yourself in front of and be able to, take that step to go find that group of people who are successful and who are doing what you want to do. You got to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. That's in anything we do in life. Going out of your comfort zone is going to take you to the next level. It's the same thing when it comes to surrounding yourself with people who are going to help you go to that level.
I absolutely agree. So in that, you've built two multi-million-dollar businesses. Now, we've talked offline and everything like that. And unbeknownst to me, I think you look absolutely amazing for your age. You said you were in your 40s. What was it like building a multi-million-dollar business 20 years ago? And what's it like building a multi-million-dollar business today for you?
So, like I said, I mean, before in my early 20s, I didn't have the guidance. I didn't have. I was naive. I was ignorant. I didn't read the books I read now. I didn't follow, the mentors that I follow now and see what they were able to do to sustain it. So now it's more about being able to sustain it and build a legacy. Before, it was about the bright lights and the fancy shit and doing it in my 20s. Nobody could tell me anything. I was on top of the world. Nobody's going to stop me, blah, 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 blah. And now, my experiences have taught me different and I got a different mindset. It's really about the mindset that I have going into this time around is completely different, where it's not I'm untouchable, I'm on top of the world. No, it's more like I want to continue to grow. I want to continue to do better. I'm just never satisfied with what I have. I want to always consistently grow, always get better, because there's always room for improvement, right? I mean, and I'm not looking for perfection, because there's no perfection. Nobody's perfect. God didn't make anybody perfect. You know what I mean? But if I could progress every single day, oh, that's a win right there, man.
Absolutely. Now, along the way, a family came into place. How have you managed growing a business and a growing family?
I mean, work-life balance. It's part of building that success on my terms. Being able to be able to enjoy the things that I can enjoy, and separating business from that, you know what I mean? But always continuing to grow. I'm always on the move, always working, but I always make time for my kids and my family. The other day I took my son to a Met game. It's my daughter's 18th birthday this weekend, and those are going to be.
Does it happen to be Sunday?
We're actually going to celebrate it on Father's Day, yeah, because her birthday's on Saturday.
Oh, happy birthday to her. My birthday's Sunday.
Oh, look at that. Awesome, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, she's
Awesome.
the 18th.
So what is that like? Wow. How would you relate your experience to raising kids, to managing other people? Obviously, you have a team and things of that nature. Communication is extremely important. What have you learned that you kind of take from your business and translate into like your family life?
Oh man, that's a good one. Communication, 100%. Right? And because listen, communication in any relationship, whether it's your mother, your father, your brother, business partner, significant other, whatever it is, communication is one of the pillars to building a relationship. Another one that's a pillar to building a relationship in both, no matter what side it is accountability. Accountability is so important. And I teach my kids how important it is to hold yourself accountable for your actions.
I'm a firm believer in accountability. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to deep dive into accountability. Now, accountability, I think, is one of the more important aspects that, like, character traits that people need to have in business, because no one is your boss. You need to be able to do things on your own. What do you do to hold yourself accountable? Do you write things down? Do you maybe have like an accountability partner? How do you maintain your accountability?
I definitely I have an accountability partner. I have a coach who's an accountability partner. And I think that's really important. Accountability, you to write things down myself, and make sure that I hold myself accountable. And I'm a big believer in writing down goals, right? And writing down my top to 10 to 20 goals or more, whatever it is, but also not just writing them down, but writing them down every single day, twice a day, and also saying them out loud, whether it's through prayer, affirmation. It puts it, not only does it brings it into existence, right? And it also, you're ingraining it into your subconscious when you do it that way. So I do that with things also that I want to hold myself accountable for. If it's a task for the day, a small goal like that, whatever it is, I think that's extremely important. At least for me, it's been a huge part of why I've been able to achieve the things I've been able to achieve.
I agree. Now, as you mentioned, you work with a lot of other business owners in regards to helping them overcome like that wall, right? As you had mentioned, reforging your path. How did you come up with that brand of reforging? What was in your mind when you're like, this is what I'm going to do? What were you thinking?
I was thinking that, what did I do with my life? I reforged my life. I had to turn myself around and recreate myself from the ground up. Because putting the drugs and alcohol down, Angelo, that's the easiest part of the whole process. The real work begins when you change your attitude and behaviors and you peel that onion back and take stock, of what your values are. Take stock of your interests, of all of that from the inside out, peeling it back like an onion. I always tell people that, when I was out there getting high and risking my life, it was ugly, and when God found me, I look at it as like a pumpkin in the pumpkin patch, right? And God had to take all the guts out, the nasty guts, bring them outside of me from inside out and put a shining light inside of me and have me share me with the world at that point. And that's really what it was. It was really taking all the nasty guts out and replacing it. So I had to reforge my whole life.
Now, you continuously are bringing up your spirituality, and I want to do a small deep dive on that. What does your spirituality not only mean to you, but how does one find spirituality?
It comes from within. And what it means to me is everything. I mean, I like I said, God today is my father, my brother, my mother, my uncle, my grandfather, my best friend, my everything, and it really comes from, so I'm a big believer in, there's a huge difference with spirituality and religion. I was born and raised Catholic. Along the way, I completely lost my way, like I said, but being able to really build that relationship, and that's my higher power. Somebody else's could be the universe. It's whatever you choose it to be. But, finding that connection and connecting with something is really important. So a higher self is extremely important to taking your mindset to the next level. Because when you can really tap in to that next level of it's not human, it really takes things to the next level. And it really helps you be able to move forward with things when you're in a situation and you may feel stuck or whatever it is. If you're able to tap into your intuition like that at the highest level, is really where you're going to take things to the next level. At least for me, that's what works for me,
Absolutely. Now, in that, spirituality versus religion is a very, very large topic and everything. What is your outlook on religion? Now, this isn't something that we always go into in the show. This is completely off topic normally for me. But in regards to religion, what is like your practice, if you will? Do you have like, say, a spiritual routine? What do you do daily to really, or if anything, daily, what is like your spiritual routine look like? And how would you compare that maybe to someone that's like a religious person that might go to church and things like that? Like, how does your spirituality play out in person for you?
So I won't go as far as comparing because I can't speak for someone else, but I will tell you what I do. And what I do is every day I wake up, I have a moment of gratitude. And I first thing I do is I get on my knees and I have my moment of gratitude and meditate. And it started off as a 3 to 5 minute day when I first, achieved sobriety. And throughout the years, I have so much to be grateful for. I mean, my gratitude is literally through the roof. There's days when my gratitude lasts an hour in the morning, and sometimes it can end with tears from just joy and happiness because I have so much to be grateful for. And I know that when I put that gratitude first, my day is so much better than when I wasn't doing that. And it's so much better than, waking up looking for the next high and that next fix and chasing a high that doesn't even really exist, and to replace it with gratitude and waking up for things I'm just thankful for, waking up in the morning, being sober, the air that I can breathe, the clothes I can put on my back, the food I can put in my stomach, my family, just the way the wind hits my kid's face, me being able to hear their voice, just so many different things to be grateful for. And when I'm able to put that first, that's where my energy comes from. My energy comes from having that gratitude and that connection to that higher power is really where I get the energy from to move on with my day.
Wow. Now, I feel like there's a lot of people that are having an issue with gratitude, I think, in this particular day and age, especially with the younger generation. I feel like there's a lot of things that they have to be grateful for that they kind of are, I don't want to necessarily say are expecting or feel entitled to. I'm not necessarily sure what your experience is with your kids, but what would you say to someone who's not currently grateful or having gratitude towards their situation, feeling like they're down or they don't have much to be grateful for? What would you do to speak life into somebody like that? What would you tell them to say, hey, listen, there is a lot for you to be grateful for, even if you feel like there is none?
I mean, there's always somebody out there that has it worse than you, and you have the person, if somebody's standing in front of me, they have a life. They're alive. That's something alone right there to be grateful for. There's so many people out there that have passed away and they do anything to be in that position to still be alive. You know what I mean? And having food and shelter, just start with the little things in life. It's not even about materialistic. It's really about from within, being able to be present, being able to sit with yourself, peace, serenity, love, joy. Those are things to really be grateful for. Because listen, man, if you can't be grateful and you can't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love someone else. You can't make somebody else happy if you're not happy with yourself.
That is a key. I'm gonna soundbite that one because you cannot. I am loving the energy that you're giving, man. Like such intense high energy, and I want to like do a little bit of a deep dive back into your business and everything, and how you provide that same energy, that same level of commitment that you have for just being grateful every day, and how you pass that on. Now, Reforge, as you had mentioned, is something that you use to really build up other entrepreneurs. Have you ever thought about using it to maybe build up like general public? Without obviously revealing any secret plans, what do you have in mind for what you want to take Reforge to? What do you feel like your next level for Reforge is?
Reforge is going to be a movement. It's going to be a movement eventually, and it's coming soon to a theater near you.
I like that. I like that. Okay. So anything that you might be able to shed us light on in terms of maybe upcoming events or maybe upcoming sessions? How can someone get involved into this movement? People, what are you doing? I want to get people involved into this. How are we going to do that?
Absolutely. I appreciate that. So my website, withjoerivera.com, you could click on there and we could set up a one-on-one free consultation just to, see if there's a fit. Also, I'm going to be speaking in San Diego in the Small Business Expo in October. October 12th is the date. And after that, the month after, it's in November. I'm speaking at Andy Audit's event in Vegas. So those are a couple of good events coming up. And again, you can follow me on Instagram, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm all over social media also.
Okay. Now, in regards to the growth, what has been like your largest growth factor, right? So you've taken this from zero to a multi-million-dollar business. What was that point where it was like, this is something that we need to double down on because it's working? Like, what have you seen that's really a business dev strategy that works for you?
A business strategy that works is number one, persistence. I mean, in anything, right? You know, you got to be persistent in sales because everything we do is sales. I mean, whoever says they don't do sales in their business is lying or just doesn't know how to do business. At the end of the day, you got to be able to sell.
We're here to make money.
Yeah. I mean, that's where it's at, right? So, you know, perseverance. So my three pillars that of my proprietary process is perseverance, growth, and spirituality, and they kind of all connect, right? And you gotta have those three in any business you're gonna do. You gotta have perseverance and growth without a doubt, right? I mean, that goes, and spirituality. I mean, contribution is spirituality, right? So that's a huge part of spirituality.
Did you mean for it to acronym as like GPS?
Say that one more time.
I said, did you mean for it to be like the acronym GPS?
You know what? I really didn't, but that's a good idea right there. I might have to run with that. I didn't mean to do that intentionally. No, I didn't. I like that.
Yeah, like God, okay, I like that. GPS for your path, the growth, right. Spirituality. Okay, yeah. Now I think that, especially in this day and age, spirituality is becoming very, very lost, especially when it comes to business. There's a very large divide of church and state and things like that. What do you tell someone that might be a little bit on the fence when it comes to the spirituality part if they want to work with you? Is that like a requirement? Do you let them know, hey, listen, this is something that if you're going to be working with me, you have to work on this particular part? Or is that something that can kind of be left alone a little bit? Like, how do you work with that?
No, it's not something that has to be done because I wouldn't force that on someone if they're not ready to deal with that. It's like trying to help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that. So no, there's plenty of other things to work on. And really, they're probably going to work on the spirituality part without even realizing they're working on the spirituality part. You know what I mean? Because again, it's a lot of people think when they think spirituality, like, oh, well, I struggle with the whole God thing. And you know what? It doesn't have to be God. It's your spirituality. It's the way you connect, you know, but we all have it within us, no matter what. It's there. You know what I mean? And it's really just about connecting at that point and being able to live that life that takes you to that next level.
Okay. Now I have a couple of selfish questions. This is my podcast, so I kind of want to get some selfish questions.
Yeah, sure.
What is it like making $1 million per year? Like, so a lot of people aiming there. Like, what does it feel like? What do you do?
I mean, listen, it takes the same energy to make $1,000 than it does $1 million. It's just a bigger number. It's a mindset thing. You know, once you get to that million, then it's 2 million. Once you get to that 2 million, then it's 3 million, and it continues to grow. You know, it really becomes a mindset thing at the end of the day. There's really no difference. It takes the same amount of energy, the same amount of work. You just got a bigger goal in mind.
So we have a lot of people here who are chasing that $1 million mark. And for you to have done it twice over, I think is absolutely phenomenal in all absolute regards. What would you let someone in my position that's really, I don't want to say chasing like that $1 million status, but would like to really obtain some wealth? What is your number one like little tidbit like that made you say, yeah, this is like the secret sauce of doing $1 million?
First off, I'd make the goal bigger than $1 million.
Okay.
And then, you want to have an action plan. You want to create an action plan to get to that goal, right? So you create the action plan. For example, when I was building my business this second time around, right, I had to create an action plan. I had to find out how many contacts I was going to make daily, to how many accounts I was going to open weekly, to how much money I was going to raise monthly in order to get me to that goal, right? I also had to be disciplined. And it's discipline is another huge factor in that success and being able to get to that level.
So much so. Now, would you say you were always disciplined? Now, growing up, would you say you were a disciplined person growing up?
No, when I was out there in my 20s, out there getting high and living the stupid life, no, I wasn't disciplined at all. I was just, I was talented at what I did, and I took advantage of that talent. I took it for granted because I could have done so much more at that point.
Now, we've talked offline, as I had mentioned, you grew up in the Bronx and everything, as you had said. What is your friends situation like? Your 20s, you're just coming out of like high school, college kind of thing like that. You have your friends that you had in your neighborhood and everything. You start working in finance. That's, I'm sure, very different than what a lot of your friends were working. Did you have to really work on those kinds of relationships as you started making more money? Did people kind of start falling off? What is it like? People don't really talk about that journey in terms of relationships that you've already had prior to making that kind of money and what it looks like along that journey as you start making that money. So what those original friend group, what happened to them? What happened to your original friend group?
So I am Puerto Rican, but I'm not from the Bronx.
Okay.
I was born in Brooklyn, and I moved to Long Island. I grew up in Elmont, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, my circle of friends has changed over the years. It's not because, look, I'm not going to say, I had a tough upbringing and that's why I started using drugs or that I hung out with the wrong crowd. No, I enjoyed partying, you know what I mean? But as I grew, my circle changed, you kind of you lose contact with some of the people that you end up growing up with, right? It just happens. And then when I was in my 20s and I was in the brokerage industry making money, I had an entourage of people that hung out with me, and I ended up, you find out who your true friends are when shit hits the fan. You know what I mean?
Who is your true friend right now? Like, if you were to say the person that's been with you outside of God, who would you say your true friend is?
My family. My family. There's no more of a true friend and true support group that I have than my family. You know what I mean? I have family is one of my top. It's probably my number one core value. It's hard to put in order there. It's like trying to find your top 5 of all time in hip hop. You just can't do it, right? Top 5 core values is tough to put together sometimes, but family is definitely up there. And it came from my childhood. I grew up, my mom was my best friend. She was my everything. When I lost her, life went dark, like I said, and I brought that towards my children. Like I teach that same upbringing for my kids. Like, we're best friends. You know what I mean? And it's important to me. It is. And then like my immediate family also, my aunts, my uncles, my brothers and sisters. It's really extended to friendship with all of them. You know what I mean? I also have close friends that I consider like brothers, you know what I mean? And that I consider them family, but again, it's a sacred word to me. I don't just call anybody a real friend. Acquaintances I have, yeah, but real friends are tough to come by.
That is a true statement. So before we officially have to get you out of here and everything, I've absolutely enjoyed this time. And I think you've provided so much amazing value for a lot of people. I just want to do a quick recap. Let's find out where we can find you. Give us the website again, the social medias, everything, next upcoming session. I'll put the link all in the description so you guys can go follow him. Where are we going to find you at?
So yeah, again, you find me on the website with joerivera.com. My Instagram, you can follow me. The handle is W_Joe_Rivera. And you'll see the links. Follow me on social media. You'll see when the upcoming events are. Like I said, I got the one coming up in October in San Diego, and there's another coming up in Vegas in November. So look out for those on my social media sites.
Thank you so much. That's absolutely good, guys. Don't forget, go follow Joe Rivera. The description, everything's going to be in the description. Thank you so much for joining us. You were absolutely an amazing guest. And I think you broke the record by being our most lucrative in terms of personal wealth actual guest. We've never had someone of that kind of stature on the podcast before. We like to try to keep things in the smaller realm. But thank you for being a first for us.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully, the wealth came in more than just the financial side, emotionally, spiritually, financially, all of it.
I absolutely think so. You're probably one of we've even had I think Reiki's up here before too as well. So yeah, you definitely, even as not a Reiki or anything like that, you're definitely up there as probably one of the most spiritual people that we've had on this episode. That's so business oriented. That's not I'm a spiritual guidance counselor and things like that. So for it to be that ingrained, very much a first for us. And as someone who has a similar level of appreciation for the creator, I absolutely thank you for bringing that energy and level of intensity to the podcast.
Yeah, man, he created it all, business, all of it. The business, just because you're spiritual doesn't mean that it doesn't fall into the business side. He creates that for us too. He opens doors and moves mountains, man. If you allow him to really do it and you pay attention, he will open doors and move mountains, man. Absolutely.
Hey Ramblers, that's it. Podcast is over. Don't leave yet though. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and follow us on YouTube at OffSource HQ. We'll see you next time.